So after we have paired with Bluetooth, we'll open up our app. You'll sign in with the credentials provided to you. And then the first thing you're going to see is this vehicle disconnected, this yellow bar right here. So we would click connect. And the main mistake that I see people make is, it's going to say, do you want to connect? And they'll just click connect, yes. But the initial connection must be done manually. So we'll click this manual connection here. And then, like I said, you'll choose from one of these 3 devices. If your account, if all of your vehicles require just a certain device, we'll actually hide the other devices. So you would only be able to see the device that you need to connect with. But we do know that you may have a mixed fleet and mixed devices. So you'll only see the ones that you would be choosing from. You won't see these 3. These are just other supported devices, but we do have the ability to hide the other ones from you. So anyway, we'll select our device. So we'll just say Geometris for now. Click next, and then right here, this is where I can't really show you guys, but once your device is discovered and paired, you'll see it. You'll see either ELD/HOS or that 84 number populate here. Once you select it, you'll have the option to connect. So then we would click connect and make sure the key is on your vehicle when we're connecting. So let's just assume that we're connected. I'm a driver. The first thing I need to do when I log in is I need to select my equipment. To do that, well, upon the initial login, a screen will automatically appear and it will force you to choose some equipment. But let's just say I'm going to be running a different trailer or a different truck today. So we'll click on, again, you'll either click on this truck or you can click on this trailer, and it's going to bring up this switch equipment page. From here, we'll select the vehicle by clicking this drop down arrow, and it's going to show any vehicles that are entered in your system. And then the same thing with trailers. We'll click the drop down and select our trailer. From here, once we select a trailer, we do have to click this add button right here, and that's just going to attach the trailer. The reason we have this add button is in case you guys want to run tandem trailers. So then once we add our trailer, we'll click switch. It'll say switch equipment successful. Do you want to perform the inspection? We're not going to do the inspection right now. I'll get to that in a minute. But let's say that you pull up this list. Maybe you're getting a trailer that you guys don't own, or it's just not in the system somehow. We do have the ability to allow drivers to add and delete and edit equipment. By default, it's turned on, but if you do not want your drivers to have that ability, I'll show you how to turn that off in the back office. So to add a vehicle to the system that's not in there, we'll click Manage. Once we click Manage, we're going to show a list of every piece of equipment in the system. So this is trailers and trucks. From here, to add, we'll click this Add button. The name is typically, the number of the truck or trailer. Then we'll select, which type of equipment it is, either trailer or vehicle. All of the information here is pretty self-explanatory, VIN, license plate, state. Don't worry about the GPS odometer, the calculated engine hours. We'll set that up if it's necessary for your model of truck. And you don't have to worry about this VBus device, because once you connect the first time, it will automatically populate all of the relevant information for the device. Now, if we're creating a trailer, a lot of these fields go away, but you don't have to concern yourself with entering the VIN. It actually will not allow you to enter the VIN number. We really just need the the name, the plate, and the plate number and the plate state. So we'd enter in our information, click Add. It would show up in the list now, and then we would go back, and then you could select it from the list. It would appear there. All right, so I'm a driver. I've selected my equipment. The first thing I'm going to do is change my duty status. To do that, we'll click on this truck here where it says off duty, and we'll select on duty, not driving. We're going to get this create event window. Every time we switch a status, this window will come up. You don't have to type anything in. When you're connected to the truck, the odometer will be pulled automatically. Location will be generated automatically. So we'll press OK, and now we're going to be in on duty, not driving. You may have seen here on the create event this personal use and yard moves. That's going to be up to you again to allow your drivers to see that or hide it from them. The way these two statuses work, personal use allows you to move the truck and drive the truck without taking away your 14 hours or your 11 hours drive time. But you can only use this whenever you're not under load, and you can't even if you unload your trailer and have an empty trailer, you still can't use it. You can only use it when you're bobtailing and you're not in your trip is not for company business. So if you bobtail up to pick up a load, you can't use personal use. But if you drive a load, drop off a load, and then you're coming home and you're not in direction of the company, you can use personal use. So just keep that in mind. The way yard moves work, it takes away your 14 hours, but it does not take away your drive time. So this would be obviously if you're on the yard or if you're at a shipper or a drop off, and if you get in a queue or something, you're going to be waiting in a line and just moving in incremental amounts, then you would use this yard move. So we'll click personal use right now. It's going to show us off duty, but you can still move the truck and it will just chart on the driver chart, the grid. It will appear as a dashed yellow line. So I'm in personal use right now. Another mistake I'd like to keep these guys from making is, so I'm in personal use right now. I want to go to on duty. So a lot of the times the guy will just select on duty and click OK. But you may notice that this box is still checked. So we have to manually uncheck that box, press OK. Then it will put us into the status that we want. All right, so we're on duty, not driving. You noticed a couple things happen. The truck turns green. This box right here turns green. And this clock right here is just counting down until you have to take your break. You have 8 hours. And once you get within 5 hours of that break, the color will change to yellow. And once you get within 2 hours, it will turn to red. If a driver clicks on this green box right here, it's going to bring up 4 clocks that just aid him. It's just a visual aid to let him know how much time he has left for his, driving, shift, cycle, and time until his break. We can also access those 4 clocks by clicking this shift cycle button. It's the same thing. And one thing you guys are going to find out, using this software is we've put the same buttons in multiple locations throughout the app just to make it user friendly, and you're never too far away from what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to do. So I'm on duty. The first thing I need to do is my inspection, my pre-trip inspection. So to do that, we'll click on this DVIR button. This is going to bring up my inspection details. On DVIR details, we can select, the type of inspection. We have pre, post, and an ad hoc, just a random inspection. And then we can select the inspector who's going to be performing the inspection. By default, it's just going to be pre-trip and driver. On the vehicle trailer, this is where we're going to select our inspection forms. We do have this list of forms created for you guys, and these are all compliant with the mandate. But you do have the ability to create your own forms. So you may find out, that these forms have fields that are not actually on your truck. So your driver's going to have to constantly do non-applicable. So if that does become an issue, like I said, you can create your own custom forms. And I'll show you guys how to do that in the latter half of this presentation. So we can do this 2 ways. We can click, the form for my truck is a tractor, and then my trailer is just a trailer. But if we do it this way, we're going to have to initiate 2 separate DVIRs. What I would recommend is the form for your truck. I would choose this tractor trailer form. So that's going to have the truck inspection and the trailer inspection on the same page, and you'll see this here in a second. So we click inspect. See, so now I have trailer and truck on the same page instead of having to, like I said, initiate 2 separate inspection reports. So to perform an inspection, we'll go down the list, see all these fields here. We're on the trailer right now. You know, we have 14 things on the trailer and 46 things on the truck we need to inspect. You know, so 60 things. It could, you know, it can be time consuming to do this. We do have this optional pass all button. We kind of have mixed interest in this button, so we're going to leave it at you guys' discretion. But if we click the pass all, it's just going to pass all these fields, and then a driver can go through and still check it, but you know, he can just fail things that need to be failed. But like I said, we do know we have some motor carriers that do not want their drivers to have this ability. So just let us know what you prefer, and we can set that up for you. So the way that the inspection works, you go down through the list. If you click once, you'll get this green thumbs up. If we click a second time, we'll get the red thumbs down, and then this triangle will appear. And this triangle just allows you to, you know, rate the severity of the defect. We have this camera icon allows the driver to upload a photo of the line item, and then this dialog box allows the driver to annotate, you know, this line item as well. If we click it a third time, this is what I was talking about, that non-applicable, you know, so this piece is not on our truck. So we go through. Keep in mind, you do have to spend at least 5 minutes on the inspection. If you don't spend 5 minutes, it doesn't put you in violation or anything like that, but it will send a little remark on your log that just says, you know, inspection less than 5 minutes. So we click finish here. You can see this time is, I mean, it's counting how long it took me to take the inspection. Let's see. So once we finish, we need to leave a general comment. Good. Then we need to select one of these 3 statuses. You know, either unsatisfactory, satisfactory, or defects corrected. Well, everything's good, so I'm going to select satisfactory. The first time a driver performs an inspection, this signature box will be blank. So he's going to have to set up a signature. So he'll just select this change signature button, create a signature, and then click done. And once that's saved, from there on out, every field that requires a signature will be automatically populated with that signature you set up, and you can change it at any time. So, you know, tell your guys not to worry if it looks really terrible. They can fix it. It doesn't really matter. I've seen some guys just write in block print. All right, so from there we'll finish the DVIR, and then it's going to, you know, ask us to certify this. So once we complete a DVIR, any statuses that have happened before the DVIR are concrete. They're solidified because we have certified this DVIR. So everything before there must be true, right? So we'll click yes. It's going to generate a PDF and send it to the back office. Okay, so we're done with the DVIR, everything passed, so I'm ready to start driving. Okay, we can initiate driving 2 ways. If you're running ELD, it's mandated that there's a vehicle speed threshold. So at 5 miles per hour, the status will automatically put you in driving. With AOBRD, you're not required to have the automatic transitions, and a motor carrier can require you just to use manual transitions. So we have that threshold set in AOBRD at 100 miles per hour before the software recognizes that you're moving and driving. So like I said, it's automatically going to put you in driving if you are running the ELD. So This is where those yard moves would come into play. You know, if you are in a queue and you're on duty not driving, and if you move it just a little bit, I know it's kind of difficult to keep those trucks under 5 miles per hour. So that's where you would use the yard move. Also, once you start your 30-minute break uninterrupted, if you move the truck, it's going to put you into driving, and it's going to reset your 30 minutes you have to spend. So make sure when you start your break that you are somewhere you're not going to have to move. Oh yeah, and obviously to start the break, we just click start break, and then to end the break, we click end the break. And it's going to put me back onto on duty after the break, and then I'll have to start driving again. All right, so I started driving, and then I come across my first DOT checkpoint, weigh station, inspection, whatever. So to initiate that inspection, I'm going to have to click roadside inspection right here. And there are two ways that we can perform this roadside inspection. I think more often than not, the DOT officer is just going to ask you for your tablet and to review your logs. So if that's the case, we'll click Start Review, and it's going to bring up our log pages. Now this is all we're required to show the DOT officers. He can scroll through the 8 days and look at all this information, but that's it. So if he requests anything else, you know, you're not obligated to give it to him. But let's just say you hand the tablet to the officer, and he walks off and he tries to get wise. Click this back button, get into your tablet to look at stuff he's not, you know, you're not obligated to show him. When we try to exit this DVIR, it's going to ask for your login password, and that's something we implemented to protect you guys, protect your privacy and protect your rights. So he's not going to be able to get out of this screen without you either telling him your password, which if he asks for it, I don't recommend giving it to him, or you actually entering the password for him. The other way he may request the information is through a data transfer. We can relay the data any of these three ways. I think the most common will be the email. We just select email. We'll enter in the email address he tells us to, click OK. It's going to bring up just a typical email box where you can actually put your name in there, but the email is going to be generated from the Gmail account that is linked with your device. Let's see. So that's how that would go. In the AOBRD mode, if any of you guys are running that, you do know that the log edits do not show up in the roadside inspection, but they do show up in certified logs in the back office and email logs. So, we do urge you guys, if you are making log edits, that we recommend that the log edits accurately reflect your driving time, because like I said, the DOT will still be able to see them in back office audits, so you may be able to get by a week or two, but it's going to come up at some point. All right, so let's just say that I got through my roadside inspection, everything is good, so I'm continuing driving. Let's bring up the logs tab. This is where, if you click logs, this is where a driver can access his logs, and see his grid, see what he's doing. This is also where you're going to edit your logs. Now you're going to see this edit pencil right here. It says driver log, and you're going to think, okay, this is how I edit my logs. This edit button just allows you to edit your vehicle information, carrier information, and any shipping information. What you're going to want to do to actually edit your logs is tap this log chart. So once we tap the log chart, it's going to bring up, and it looks a little different on my screen because I'm on a computer. You'll actually be able to see more than just one event at a time down here. But it's going to bring up your log, and then it's going to bring up this list. So we can edit certain statuses. Some, AOBRD has a little bit more editing flexibility than ELD. ELD, currently we cannot edit driving like we can't shorten driving time that's been, that is initiated by an automatic transition, because the software knows the truck moved. We're working on getting a little bit of our flexibility back on that. That's a work in progress, because edits are not, they're not forbidden. Obviously, mistakes happen. DOT, if they see an edit here and there, it's not going to raise any red flags. It's just when we have, 6 or 7 edits a day, that might make them, look twice, and it's going to open up a can of worms, and you're going to have to defend all of your edits. So, obviously, let's try to make everything as accurate as possible. But to edit, we'll just click on, let me get to a status that I'm having trouble getting past that one. There we go. So we'll just click the edit pencil. Let's see, off duty. All right, so you guys looking at my log, you don't see any sleeper time. I'll edit this on duty not driving to sleeper. This should let me. We have to add a note, and then, oh yeah, so this status right here, once you edit, when you click edit, sorry, let me go back, I forgot that. We'll click edit, you're going to see it's on duty not driving. So this is the status you're editing from. We have to change this status to what we want to make it. Then we leave the note, and then we have to select a reason. We have a list of reasons provided for you guys. You do have the ability to create your own reasons. I'm just going to say incorrect status. Okay, and so I just moved, you can't really see it very well, but I did just move a piece of the status. I probably could have picked a different one. But it is up here in the sleeper berth. I didn't even really spend any time on that status, so it's not going to show a line or anything. But when you do edit a status, it does appear instantly, or when a driver does, it appears instantly. The change is reflected immediately. You do have the ability to edit your driver's logs from the back office, but since the driver is ultimately responsible for his logs, if you edit it that way, the driver is going to have to either accept or reject an edit before it becomes apparent. So to get out of the logs page, that was the log edits. Click that back arrow, and then it's going to bring us back to the logs page. To get out of this, we'll just swipe this right. Okay, the next thing I want to go over is this recap button. Now this is for the driver's benefit only. Like I said, you don't have to show DOT this, and we're not really in the habit of showing DOT any more than they request. So if you look at this and you look at it, closely, don't be alarmed, because it actually shows the previous 8 days and today. So it's showing actually 9 days. Like I said, this is strictly for the driver's benefit. We don't have to show this to DOT, so don't worry about that. But it's just going to calculate all of your hours, throughout the week, and then tell you, how many hours you have left today, how many you've worked today. So, okay, let's go to options. And like I said, you see the switch equipment, you see a lot of the same buttons here. So from here, what I like to go over, if you are running team drivers, this is where your co-driver would log on. You click on log on, and it's just going to bring up, the login screen. That's where he would log on. We can switch from here. You have to have 2 drivers logged on, obviously, but you can switch from here. Let's see. Okay, here's a button that you guys might want. Go off duty for this button. So this button that I'm going to show you here, called the gain time button, this just tells you when your shift resets, 10 hours from when you went off duty. So this way, a driver, when he's off duty, he's wondering, when exactly can I start? Instead of having to do the math in his head, we do it for you. And this is just going to tell you, how much time you get back, and how long, when that happens. Exceptions, you guys are going to be more familiar with which exceptions apply to which drivers, but if you do want to drive under an exception, this is where you would do it. You'd click the exceptions page and then check, which exceptions you're driving under. Click OK. This document page right here, this just allows you to add, add documents. If you click Add, it'll bring up the camera on the tablet. You can take a photo and then annotate that document. That would be, bill of ladings, fuel receipts, anything like that. All right, and there's actually a place for bill of ladings and other shipping documents in this shipping documents page. So this is where we'd enter the information for the bill of lading here. Next thing I want to go over is this menu bar right here on the left hand side. From here we can access any work orders that have been assigned, look at job sites. We can do our DVIR from here. Again, the buttons are everywhere. So if we click on this work orders page, I had one. Well, let me see if I can. I had one in here I created a good while ago, but it must have disappeared after a while. I added it a few weeks ago. Well, from here anyway, any work orders you've set up in the back office, I'll come back to this, will appear. It'll have the job site, and then there will be a navigation arrow where a driver can receive turn-by-turn navigation to the job site. Like I said, I'll come back to this. We'll create one in the back office, show you how to do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so fuel receipts here is the same as documents. We click Add, it'll bring up the camera. You can snap a photo of the fuel receipt, and then an annotation box will come up where drivers can enter in that information. And that's just for fuel receipts. IFTA, mileage by state and all that is calculated based on border crossings, based on the GPS. So that's all automatically generated. The last thing I want to show you guys is this Help and Support tab. If you run into any problems or just have any questions, don't hesitate to call us, but you may want to navigate here first. This is just a database, a pretty expansive database actually, of just different topics that pertain to every single page and every single button within the app. So more times than not, if it's just a question, or you don't think something's right, you can find the answer here. But like I said, if you do have a big issue or something that needs immediate attention, don't hesitate to give us a call. So that's about all I have for you guys on the driver's application. See, I don't have any questions yet. I'll give you guys a minute or two to, if you have a question, you can submit that in. Alright, doesn't seem like I have any questions. If you do think of something, like I said, at the very end we'll have a little Q&A section. Alright, so the next thing I want to go over is the back office. Again, if you've received your equipment, you should have received some sort of welcome email with the portal login and the address to navigate to. If you don't, shoot me an email here in the end. I will, here, I'm going to enter my email in the chat box.
Hey Tom, how are you?
Alright, so don't worry about any kind of, if the branding looks a little bit different, don't worry about that. everything is the same. It just may appear a little bit different, just the color scheme and everything, but don't worry about that, just depending on who you signed up with. So once we log in, the first thing we're going to see is this drivers page. This is going to show all the drivers that have successfully logged in to the driver's application. So don't worry when you first log in and it says, no data available. That's probably just because your drivers haven't logged in yet. So we'll come back to that page. The first thing I want to go over is just account setup and what you as the fleet manager or the admin are going to be using to set up your drivers and equipment and different users. So the first thing we'll go to is the users. Now you may already know that users are the admin. They have access to the portal. Drivers have access to the app. Per the mandate, drivers are not allowed to have access to both with the same login. So we do understand we have owner-operators. Obviously, they're going to need access to the portal. So what we do is we just create separate logins. And so we'll typically do, we'll say, Apple Test is the user account, and then the driver account, we would just add a 1 or a digit to the end, Apple Test 1 at lbtelematics.com, and we would assign that to the driver. As you may know, these emails do not have to be working emails. They can be dummy emails. It just has to be an email format. So creation of users, equipment, drivers, it's the same process. We'll go to the respective tab, so users, and we'll click this plus sign right here. From here, we'll enter in all the pertinent information. It's pretty self-explanatory. Visibility set is going to be 1 by default, unless you guys have multiple offices, and we can set up different terminals, different pools of vehicles, different visibility sets, if they're separate. Also, with authorized terminals, you're going to by default see main office. That's going to be what you'll select, but like I said, we may need to create more terminals for you guys just based on whatever your situation is. And then we need to select a user role. We have a few different roles here, and they all have different admin access, different levels of access. The highest role will be the account admin. So this guy can edit account information, add drivers, create work orders, everything. Then we have the fleet manager, and this guy he can't change any account settings, but he can manage equipment and drivers. This view only role just allows you to log in and just view the logs. You cannot edit any information. The user admin allows us to manage users and drivers, people. The asset admin only allows you to manage equipment. And this work order assignee doesn't allow you to edit any other information, but it will allow you to create work orders and assign them to drivers. Don't worry about this verify email button unless you are using a functioning email as your login, because what that's going to do is just send a verification email with a link to it. So if you send that to a dummy email, obviously you're not going to be able to verify that, so you won't be able to log in. So I wouldn't even really worry about that. So that's how we'll create a user. You may notice we have W. Cochran here. This is the user account, and then W. Cochran 1. So drivers do show up in this users tab, but they're not users. So the next thing we can create are drivers. And so all the drivers show up here, none of the users do. So this is how you can kind of differentiate between the two. See most of these have 1s. That's just how we did it. Okay, to add a driver, we can do the same process. Click this plus sign right here. It's going to bring up a pretty similar looking page. Driver ID, you don't have to worry about that unless you have like employee numbers or something like that. CDL, state, terminal again is probably going to be main office. But this is where we would assign, if you do have multiple terminals, this is where we would assign a driver to a terminal. Let's see. Driver email is going to be the login. Okay, and this is where I was talking about we can allow drivers to either manage equipment, access personal use, or yard moves right here. This is where you would set that up. Under this other portion right here, where this is where we'll select our statuses. The standards, the 70-hour, 8 days, but we do have a list of different cycles based on the states right here. So you know which cycles your drivers are using. We have Canadian cycles as well. Cargo most often is property. We do have some coach companies that are transporting passengers, but for the most part, it's just going to be property. It's operation mode. So this is where you're going to choose whether this driver is running ELD or AOBRD. PDF recipient. From here, you can enter a real email address, and then any PDF that's generated from this driver, his account, will also be sent to your email, not only just the back office, but all the PDFs can be accessed through the back office as well. So I will warn you, if you set up all your drivers to send it to the same email, you're gonna get quite a lot of emails, and it will be easy to get cluttered. So from there, once you set up everything you want, we'll click Save, Close. Okay, you may notice these red X's right here. This is where we can delete drivers. Now, if for some reason a driver leaves your company, is terminated or is just not with you anymore, you still have to retain his logs for 6 months. So instead of deleting him, if you delete a driver, his logs will be gone forever. You cannot retrieve them again. So to store, keep his logs stored, but to indicate he's not with you anymore, you just click Edit, that blue pencil, and this status right here will deselect active. So he'll be an inactive driver, but you still have all of his records on file. Okay, the next thing, go to equipment. Oh yeah. So that's how this plus sign is how we're adding drivers one at a time. But if you have a fleet with, even 50 drivers, 30 drivers, 500 drivers, it may be easier for you to create a CSV, just a spreadsheet, and upload them that way. So if you click on that Upload CSV button, this little arrow right here, it's going to bring up a list of instructions. I have to stress that if you do this CSV, you have to follow these instructions to the T. I mean, as far as you see here, driver ID, there's no space between driver and ID. First name, no space. So, it has to be exactly, when you're creating the headings, exactly the way that this instruction sheet lets you know how to do it. Now, if you have 2 or 3 drivers, it's not really going to make sense to create this spreadsheet because it'll take more time actually setting up the spreadsheet than it would be just to manually enter. So that's just a judgment call that you guys are going to have to make. But this does allow for bulk uploads, and we can do that in equipment as well. You see this upload CSV. But to create equipment is the same way. Click New Equipment, and this is very similar to what was on the application. The name, VIN, the type, and even here you see we can't enter VIN for trailer, it's not required. This is where we'll select the default DVIR form, so you can select tractor trailer. Visibility set again will be just 1 unless we create more for you, or you can create them as well. Home terminal, main office. Again, you do not have to concern yourself with this GPS odometer or manual engine hours. That's something that we will configure based on the vehicle list you guys send us. We'll know which ones will need that. Device, again, automatically populated. And throughout the application and the portal, you'll see these pencils. This pencil just indicates that you can edit. The terminals, this is where we would create alternate offices. Same way, click plus, and then just enter in all the information. Like I was telling you guys earlier, we can create custom DVR forms. These are the forms that we've created for you guys. These are all compliant with the mandate. So we don't allow you guys to actually edit these. We can't delete line items or anything, but you can create one from scratch. So we'll just click this new button, name the form, and then from here we'll create different points. So if it was brakes, save it, and then we have brakes. I do have to urge that you look at what at least the minimum requirements are, just so you don't fall out of compliance with your forms that you create if you decide to create one. Okay, let's see. Button editor. I'll show you guys this. I don't know if you'll get a whole lot of use out of it. This just allows you to rename buttons and reassign them. We assigned them the way they are just because that's what made the most sense to us. We tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. So, like I said, I don't know why you would, but if there for some reason you think there's a better way to arrange the buttons to make it easier for the drivers, you can do that here. And see, that's pretty much what you guys would be messing with while you're setting up drivers, setting up equipment. Okay, the next thing I want to go to is this page we looked at the first time. So this drivers page in the hours of service tab just offers an at a glance. You can tell what your drivers are doing and their name, the vehicle, their status, last time they reported in, position, time until the brake drive left. Those 4 clocks are right here. When they get their shift, when their shift does reset, and then what their next the next violation would be if they were to get one. Oh, I clicked on that. And how long until the next violation. So you can kind of monitor your drivers here. To access their logs, we can do that 2 ways. We can just click on their name, or we can click on this logs page and just select a driver. There's no data for this driver today. Click on this one. All right. So from here, this is the driver's log page. It looks pretty similar to what it looked like in the app, right? Except you do have this list right here. So this will just let you, track their log. It looks just like a paper log. And we can also edit from here as well. But like I said, if we edit a status, a driver status, the driver has to either accept or reject that before it will become apparent. So I'm just going to make him driving. And then incorrect status. Clicks. Oh, I have to put an odometer in here since he's not connected to a vehicle. Click save. Okay, and as you can see, nothing changed. We're still waiting on. We're going to be waiting on the driver to accept that. And so you didn't see anything. You can't even tell this one was edited. That's just because this status carried over from the previous day. So what we need to do is look at the last, so this status on the 22nd is actually this status from the 21st, just carried over, 4:23 p.m. So you see, expand. We can't edit this anymore. It's disabled because we already have a pending edit. Expand. It'll show us, what we're going to try to edit it to, and so that's how we would edit. Now, if a driver makes a mistake. And the only way to fix it, bring them out of violation or whatever, is going to be by performing multiple edits. It is going to be easy to get bogged down in editing these statuses one at a time. So what we can do is click on these 3 dots right here, click edit, and it's going to bring up this multiple edit form. This way, or we can see all of the statuses and edit them all at the same time if we want. Okay, This locations tab right here just shows the last event, their last location. It's not a full tracking. I'm having some trouble with it loading right now. But this is just going to show the last event that you have, the last time the driver checked in. It's not going to give you an exact coordinates or anything. It's just going to show you what the HOS shows you. But it just shows a visual representation of where the drivers are, pretty close at least, whenever they last checked in. This violations page is just going to show any violations that any of your drivers have. We don't have any in violation within this time frame, but they will appear here. The unidentified driving. Now this happens when a driver's connected, when his tablet is connected to the device in the truck, but he's not signed in. And so those instances will show up here, and then it's going to be up to the fleet manager to actually assign these, once you figure out who was driving the truck, assign this unidentified driving time. Okay, this reports tab, these are just some generated reports that you guys can check out. Certified logs reports, these are what you have to store 6 months of in paper, but only certified logs show up here. So all these grayed out ones just mean these logs have not been certified yet. Make sure you let your drivers know they only have 7 days to certify the logs, or they won't be able to certify them anymore. They don't disappear, but you do not have the ability to certify them after 7 days. So maybe just once a week, or after their shift is over. We do not recommend having your drivers certify their logs before their shift starts, just because the way the software works is based on tasks. So anything work oriented is considered a task, and you cannot perform tasks when you're off duty. So even if your driver shows up 3 minutes, 5 minutes early to work, he's sitting in his truck waiting for his shift to start, and he just figures, I'm going to be proactive and certify my logs. So, but if he certifies a log even 1 minute before his 10 hours is up, it's going to start that 10 hours over. And can't imagine he's going to be too happy about that. So just make sure you stress that to these guys. We recommend at the end of the week or after every shift. So we'll click on the certified log. This is a PDF that was generated whenever we certified a log. And it's just going to bring up, his logs, everything that happened that day, any shipments, and then his DVIR inspection. We are currently working with our software developers to see if we can trunk this down a little bit, maybe just provide the bare minimum, just because we know you guys have to store 6 months of these. And, so this one is 6 pages. So if you have 30 drivers over 6 months, you're going to have to open up a new facility just to store these. So, so just know that is something we are working on. Even if we printed this double-sided, it's still going to be, 3 pages. So, but this is where the certified logs would show up. We have this driver's logs report. And this is pretty similar. The only difference is, well, there are a couple differences actually. These, we can access any logs here. They don't have to be certified. But it's only going to show that line, that itemized list of events. It's not going to show the grid or anything like that. But this is where you can just see, what a guy did for the day, for this date range actually. This DVIR report is just going to be a report of all the inspections that have taken place. This edit logs will generate a report that shows all log edits that have taken place. This ELD CSV output file, this just allows you to, it creates a spreadsheet, CSV file, and you can upload that into other programs. If you don't know what this is, you're probably not using it. If you are using these, then you know exactly what this is. There are other, management programs that accept CSV format. So like I said, if you don't know what it is, don't concern yourself with it. Okay, this hours and miles report, this is going to track the truck, you know, how hard it's been working. Let's see if we have any reports. No. The distance. And then this, or the hours and miles, and then the hours and work is going to track your people. Like I said, these are just little reports that are, you know, they're not mandated, but you guys can definitely get some use out of them. This DVIR history page is similar to that DVIR report. It just shows, you know, any DVIRs that have occurred, and see these have all been certified. So we could pull up this report, which looks the same as what you saw on the certified log, just that grid and the checklist. This malfunctions and data diagnostics. This is going to show anytime, you know, your truck has, or the software has experienced any kind of data diagnostic event or a malfunction. Now the data diagnostic events, don't freak out if you see those, because I mean they're semi-normal. I mean you're going to see it's not abnormal to see, you know, maybe 1 a day, 2 a day, just random. That just means we missed a data point for a second. Doesn't put you out of compliance, doesn't matter. Now, if you start seeing hundreds of these things a day, definitely get in contact with us and we'll investigate to see what's going on. If now a malfunction's a little bit more important, okay, so here, let me backtrack a little bit. These data diagnostic events will show up in the driver app in the form of a red flashing D at the top. Let's see if I can, I'll show you where it would be. In the driver app, it would show up right here as a red flashing D. The malfunction would show up as a red flashing M. So from here, a driver could click on that D and clear out these events. Now, like I was saying, the malfunction is a little bit more important and urgent, just because that only happens whenever you miss enough data over a 24-hour period to equal 30 minutes of missed data. And when that happens, a malfunction is triggered, and in some cases, data collection is ceased altogether until you clear out that malfunction. It will probably give you a message, hey, ELD malfunction, revert to paper logs. So if a driver calls you with that, try to calm him down, because I'm sure he'll be, kind of frantic. Clear out that malfunction, and he can continue driving, and let us know as soon as you can, and we'll look into it. And we'll have to figure out, what went wrong, what's going on. Those are pretty rare, but they may happen. So like I said, don't worry too much about that. Just stay calm and give us a call. This log edits tab is similar to the log edits report. It's just going to show, any log edits that have happened. Okay, and this right here just shows that the driver has not accepted the log yet, because I changed it. It shows who changed it and shows the driver, who the driver was. Okay, the next thing I want to go over is IFTA. Fuel receipts will be shown here if the driver is uploading them, along with any annotations. These reports, so we generate some useful reports for you guys for your IFTA audit. We know that it is a time-consuming process, so we tried to make it as efficient as possible with some of these reports. See, this mileage by state report is what most people are interested in, and what that does, I hope we have some data in here. I don't have a whole lot of data, but what it does is it checks your start odometer, end odometer, based on border crossings. That's how all this is generated, based on border crossings. And it will calculate the distance and the total distance. And these will be separated by states. So yeah, this report's, you can't really see the data, but like I said, once you start collecting data, you'll see them. see on this IFTA page, we can look at it, quarterly, yearly, or monthly. Look at special diesel. Again, I don't know if we're going to have any data. We're not. But you can see from here, it's just going to show, the state and what fuel was bought, taxable miles, gallons, and, how much is due. So, again, you guys are more familiar with running these audit reports, but you'll know what to do with these reports. See, again, I feel like if I show you this, we're going to have no data to show. Okay, so no data, but again, just play around with this a little bit when you're, once you start collecting data, and you'll find these are pretty useful for you guys in your audit report. Make it a little bit easier for you. Okay, the last thing I want to go over is this mobile worker, like I was telling you guys about earlier. From here, you can create work orders, create job sites. See, okay, that's why I couldn't see it, because it was not assigned to me. But to create a work order, we'll just click the plus sign. Resource, I'll assign it to myself. Oh wait, no, I'll assign it to, I can't assign it to myself. I'm in a different account actually. But I can you can assign it to a driver. Let's see. I may have to get into my other account if I'm going to show it to you on the, give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so here from work orders, I'll choose the resource. That's who I'm going to assign it to, me. Oh, that's what I meant. So we'll select our driver, put the address in, description, what it is. Just anything really. We can add another work order, but we'll click save here. And then from here, it should pop up work orders. There we go. So this is what I was telling you about. You see the navigation arrow. If I click this, it's going to bring up, my maps, whatever maps I'm running on the tablet, and it'll show you the, the navigation to the job site. To open it, click this check mark. The driver can check in from here, check out, upload photos of the work done, even have a customer sign it. So that is all I have for you guys on the back office. Well, we do have the reports, and this will just show any work orders. There's not going to be any on here because I just created that one. But do we have any questions about this? Chris, it looks like you're the only one on. I'll unmute you if you can talk. Feel free. All right, well, if there are no questions, I appreciate you joining, man. Like I said, these are Monday at 2 p.m., Wednesday at 9, and Friday at 9. So, if there's something you missed, or if you have some drivers you want to attend, you have the links, and you can join at any time that those are open. So I appreciate it. Just shoot me an email or something if there's a question you think of later. Or maybe once you start using it, you'll have more questions. But I appreciate you joining. Thanks, man. Hey, yeah, have a happy holiday too. Bye.